thought I'd create this video. Like, I've recorded a few over the last few weeks, and I was going to wait, and then I found my book, and I've talked about this book in a few other videos. And I'm not going to go through it because this video today is about Red Dog Technology. But I did want to have a bit of a conversation about this book and the difference it made for me. And you might notice it's just a hardcover book with some like they're pop riveted in. I don't know if you can see that, but there's pop rivets there. I added that as a secondary thing, as people really, really love to give me heaps about the book. Come to think of it, I am going to make a video about just this book, and I'll come back and do another video about Red Dog Technology at a later time, because I really want to put down, if you're starting out in business, or if you've had success in business and you want to create another set of success, this concept made a huge difference for me. And it produced quite a lot of successful businesses, or good business models, but it also allowed me to document and discard many hundreds of other business models. So I bought this book because, and I don't know who told me, that 9 out of 10 businesses failed. And I'd learned some of the ways in which you can make better business decisions or better business models at university, but I really wanted to practice it. And what I realized is that, first of all, if 9 out of 10 businesses fail, and I don't really know what I'm doing, in other words, I haven't built a business before, and I don't really know what a good business model is, I should probably have a crack at practicing them. And it became obsessive. This book went with me everywhere, and I mean everywhere. It never was out of my sight. I took it to work with me. I took it out night clubbing. Like, I remember one night my friend coming in, and I was at the casino, which almost never happened. And I had this blue sort of strap satchel thing on. This was the only thing that was in it. It went everywhere with me, and I'm sitting at the blackjack table, probably betting $5 as I was a uni student back in those days. And he was laughing because here I am just completely alone in the casino. I must have left to go and leave my friends and decided to rock up. Anyway, short story, I took this with me. But everyone wanted to, annoy me about the book. And so I got sick of people looking at it. So I put these 2 brass things on it and got a pop rivet gun and pop riveted this book. You can see I really got serious, and put a padlock on it. And that fixed that up. They couldn't look in it anymore, because they'd look at my business models and they would they take the mickey out of me. And I felt like a diary. It felt private. And so I would just come up with a business model and go, right, what's my break even? And I already generally knew my break even for like myself. And I built businesses just around being able to do it for myself to start off with. And then I would add on top of that. I'd work out what maybe the widget is that they were going to sell, or the product, or the per hour, or whatever it might be. And I would just slowly work back from what I know to create and work out whether this was a viable business model, or this wasn't. And I loved it. It allowed me to go through and look at a plethora of different businesses. Like, there's pages and pages and I could take you through it, but I'd actually have no idea. There's like returns at certain percentages. I really went out of control. I designed things. I've got solar panels on here. I've got, I looked at building a Bali boat. I must have been surfing at one point. I actually did go surfing at one point and thought to myself, well, what about if I build a boat that could take people surfing in Bali? I did FX transactions because I knew that it was a real challenge to do FX transactions, which I was pretty close to something that was successful, because if you can charge a financial rent on something, that's like you can make a very small percentage. It'd be very similar to the old model of photocopiers and printers and stuff, where you charge $1 or $2 per page, and the margins are just ridiculous. But because people didn't think about the cent or two per page. They were happy with it. Food, delivery. I looked at Indonesian jewelry because I'd travelled over there as a young fella. Paint, some kind of paint, some kind of whistle, some kind of like real estate company, bonsai trees, and it was incredible just to have this all here. And I think that if you want to be successful, you've really got to get one of these, something like this, and write down all the things like your niche, your business's niche, other businesses' niches, what the break-even costs are. Don't go. People make this huge mistake in that what they look for is they'll say, okay, so I'm going to make, let's say, books. Everyone needs a book. Currently, books sell for $3 a book. I'm going to sell mine for $2.50. Everyone's going to buy that book because it's cheaper than the other books. And the current book market there is 8 billion people on the planet. And everyone needs at least one book per 6 months, let's just say. So that's 2 books a year, so that's 16 billion books a year. So that's 32, that is $40 billion a year worth of turnover. My profit margin's 50 cents per book. So, and you've got 16 billion books. So that means that I am going to make somewhere in the region of $8 billion a year. All I need to do to make $1 billion a year is to get 1/8 of the market. So that's what I'll go for. Surely I can do that if that's attainable. Even if I got 5 or 10%, I'd still make it hundreds of millions. You know what I mean? You get my gist. It's a pipe dream. It's exciting. It definitely gets the adrenaline running. You start to see the possibility of business and profitability and making a difference and scalability and all these things, but it's not realistic to operate from that perspective because it's really, really rare that you start a business and it explodes like Facebook did, or in a lot of ways like Google did. There's not a lot of businesses like that. So what you've got to consider is, well, what other options is there? And the other option that wasn't apparent to me until someone pointed it out was the break even. How much product do you need to sell to break even? And then you can start to look at, okay, great, well, I've got one employee, let's say, for instance, it's you or me, just one employee, and I need to pay them this much per hour. How many books, let's just use an example, how many books do they need to sell every hour to make the break-even point? And it can become quickly apparent whether the business model is attainable. And you really want to find out the ones that are not going to work pretty quickly. You want to fail fast, for want of a better word, or better words. Because there is a lot of businesses out there that are low quality. There's a lot of businesses out there that are very similar to everyone else's. And if you can't sell enough product to do your break even, you're never going to become the gazillion dollar business. So you really do need to look for break even. And if it works out that the amount that you need to sell is so ridiculously low that you'll easily make break even, you're probably going to have a good business. It doesn't guarantee it, but it starts to look pretty good. And if you've seen a video of mine where I looked at bringing in compact fluorescent light globes and replacing the metal halide bulbs in street lights, which haven't happened, it hasn't even happened now that LEDs are in, not completely. If you look at that video, the business model looked fantastic. Like you really didn't need a lot of sales to reach break even. The problem with that is you can't go around doing it for free. You've got to get governments to do it, and oftentimes they don't want to. And there's a lot of other issues that come along with switching across lighting, in something that could have significant insurance issues. So, the book. If you are out to create another successful business or start one, I highly recommend it. And I have run into why I recommend the book, even if you've been successful for a really long time, is that I know a lot of people who have produced a good success and then it's hard to do another one. And oftentimes it's because there's some piece of some detail that made that business that was successful really successful, and they don't know how to repeat that. And they don't know how to repeat that because they're not clear of their niche. So they don't know what it is that they should do again that allows them to fulfill that same niche. And some people will call it timing. I have a friend who says, he really is, it's true, he got in at the perfect time and he got out at the perfect time. But I don't think that was by chance. You know, obviously you can definitely look at it from the perspective of luck, but it doesn't leave you empowered if you can get how you created the first success and really bring that, distill that into its, you know, its actual essence, it's those little niche things. You can do it again. And this book, and my book has allowed me to do it again because I'd learned, well, what I learned to start off with before I even started a business, I didn't follow through after I built a really successful business called Red Dog, which is what I was going to create this video on. And then I realized how, you know, mid-video, I really wanted to talk about this book. And then I had 2 failures after Red Dog, and it's because I'd forgotten the fundamentals of what I'd learned in this book. And when I stopped after those 2 failures and looked at what it was that I'd missed, this was a really important point. And I now do it. I now do this, not in this particular book. I've kept only one of, I've probably had 50 of these books. This is my first one. I now do this all the time for every business. So I'm always trying to find what's that thing that I have missed that I don't even know, that I might have stumbled on by luck. You know, sometimes it's subliminal. Sometimes it's, you know, you're so in the groove and you know, you're young and you can sort of see where the future's going. All of your friends, you hang around with your friends and you can sort of predict where it's going to go. But you couldn't put your finger on exactly what it is. You know, that's what the book's great for. You know, getting that stuff down on paper, really looking at it, throwing away the crap ideas, and bringing in the new and the good ones. And I've talked about this with people before, and they go, I don't know how to do that. Just start with the things you know. Like, you know what it costs per hour to hire someone who works at Macca's at your local. And if you don't, go to McDonald's and ask someone behind the counter, what do you get paid an hour? You know what it costs, you know, what you can make as an Uber driver. You can just search on the internet. You know, you can generally find out how much concrete costs. There's lots of things that you might know, that you can start to add in, and then you can start to build a picture out like a big jigsaw puzzle, and you'll start to quickly see whether this is a viable business or not. So it's the book. Stick with the book. It's would have saved me many millions of dollars if I'd stuck with the book. See you in the next one.